seeing things through the eyes of others. I love the History Channel. I love that program called Aerial America, where you can actually, they go through all the states and they tell you stories about what's happening, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or not what's happening, but about the states. And, they give a history of the state. But, today while I'm blogging, I'm looking at the program and I am listening to what they're talking about with Andrew Jackson and how they're praising Andrew Jackson. And, when they talk about him being the catalyst for the Trail of Tears, they just kind of glossed over it as just being something controversial, right? Here it is. This guy bears responsibility for pretty much the murder and genocide against a particular group of indigenous people in our country. And as it is told in this documentary, in this program, they just talk about it as something incidental. It is ironic, however, when we speak about what, let's say, Hamas did in Israel, which was horrendous, terrible, and should be spoken of that way, that when it comes to, let's say, Andrew Jackson, when it comes to how Israel reacted to the massacre in Israel and then decimate Gaza and kill over 26,000 people, right? If you want to understand why we continue to have, I tell you what, before we get ahead, let's go ahead and listen to it first. And we'll take it on the other side.
Andrew Jackson, the 7th president of the United States, arrived in Nashville when Tennessee was still the frontier. He bought 425 acres of land where he would eventually create his stately southern plantation home, the Hermitage. Jackson was not an aristocrat like the presidents who preceded him. He was a scrappy, short-tempered man. At the Hermitage, he grew cotton and advanced his political career. Jackson led the American forces to defeat the British at the Battle of New Orleans in 1812. His role in that battle helped Jackson win the presidency. In 1828, he served 2 terms. Probably the most controversial aspect of his presidency, by modern standards, was his plan to remove Native Americans from their land, ultimately causing the Trail of Tears. Today, the Hermitage is a popular tourist destination and one of the oldest historic site museums in the country.
Now, anybody listening to that piece from just sort of a casual way would not really make a big issue out of it. But subliminal messages are very important, and it teaches you how to handle situation based on who, what, when, etc. And if you take a look at how Andrew Jackson was revered in this piece, and at the same time, they didn't forget to bring up the Trail of Tears, but they made it just an incidental. It's sort of a controversial thing, but it's no big deal. But when we talk about what others have done in this country, oh, it's the end of the world. How dare they do those violent things? We are not a society that does those things. It is so far from the truth. Humanity can be very good and humanity can be very bad. And it doesn't matter where you stand, whether you are an American, a Russian, a Chinese, a Vietnamese, a Panamanian, we all have the propensity to do real bad things. We all have the propensity to do really good things. And what we can all hope for, or what we should strive for, what we should promote, is that we start all doing good things. But one of the most important things is not to color history, because when you try to color history, those who want to be snowed, those who want to be misled, those who want to be gullible and be fooled, that there is a whole group that knows the truth. And it doesn't matter what you say, they'll know otherwise. That little girl that has to sit in class, that indigenous girl that has to sit in class and talk about Christopher Columbus discovering a new world, she looks at around and says, huh? What new world? I've been here. And not only have I been here, but this is actually mine that you've taken. When immigrants are coming over the border and folks want to look at them as if they're criminals or if they're these bad people doing this bad thing, they just have to look and say, what's the genesis of the United States? We just want a job, nothing more. A job, a better life. And we want a job because of what you may have done in the countries where we're at. But when you came here, you didn't only try to settle a little area to make life better for you. You took the whole thing. You killed, you maimed, you effected genocide. From whose eyes are we seeing things? From whose eyes? When I come to the United States and I am a full-throated American citizen, proud to be an American citizen, with the acknowledgement that I will not, and no person coming onto this land who constitutionally was declared 3/5 of a person. How can any one of those sit down and revere those who wrote a constitution that told them they were less than a person? From whose eyes are we seeing things? When we start to try to see the world through the eyes of all and not just through the eyes of the few or through the prejudices of the few, that is how and when we will make progress in this world. And we're getting there. Progressives are leading the way. We're getting there, but we have ways to go.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.